Hey there, everyone. Welcome to This Week in Rambling Weekly. Let's get the show started. And that was a little section of the song called Star Piano. It's a remix. There's a bunch of different versions. The first version I had heard of was from a person, dojinshi named Music Nakibun. And this one's a remix done by, I want to say Joy TV or Joy HTV. I want to say it's Joy TV, but obviously Joy H and then TV. But that is a remix done by him. The thing is that this song is also so like I had been introduced to it by finding it on Music Nakibun's site, and I love the song. To me, the song it's actually one of my favorite songs, and I have a lot of different remixes, and they're all really enjoyable to me as well. Thing is that there's a few different ones. There's like a speed metal one. There's one that sounds like it'd be really good for like a battle theme. There's another one that sounds a bit more like it would be. There's just different ones, and they're really good. Problem is that I think he took a lot of them off of his site. I'm referring to Music Nakibun. He used to have a bunch of different ones and a bunch of different remixes. And for whatever reason, at least the original was gone, and I don't quite remember if he had kept the other remixes, which really bummed me out. Thing is, though, is that the glory that is YouTube has so much other stuff on there. I randomly came across a song that has the same melody, and I've never really thought that they were inspired, like Music Nakibun was inspired by this person, or this person is Music Nakibun, or anything like that. But there is a song called "Children of the Earth" by Air, Awur, and it's got the same melody right at the beginning of it. It's a fantastic song. It's got some children talking, which some people might find kind of weird in the song, but it's a wonderful song. Wonderful song. I'll leave links for that, and I will make a note to and I'll make a note so that I don't forget. Otherwise, I probably will forget, knowing how silly I am. But how is everyone doing? I hope you're doing well. It's another week, another grind, another slow march to death. Oh, that's depressing. But no, I hope everybody's doing all right. The weather is kind of starting to turn spring-like. I hope. Like, I had seen something about towards the end of this week that I'm recording, so probably the week of this coming out, because I'm trying to be good and be a week ahead of schedule. And I also record it throughout the week, so if there's any sort of comments or anything, I can record those at a later date, so I can at least get a big chunk of this done, because this time that I'm recording right now is the only time that I have where there's nobody else around, and I can talk and be free and all those sorts of things. But so yeah, I don't know where I was going with that, but I hope everybody's doing well. I am doing okay. I'm a bit tired, and it's probably because I was up until about 2:30 or so. I'm writing a story for those who do know of me. Hi. But I'm writing a story, and I had finished up a chapter last night, chapter 10. So I started. What I do is I write it out by hand first, and then I start writing it out, or I type out kind of an edit of it. So, um, yeah. So I was doing that until about 2:30 this morning, and I'm just a bit tired. But I enjoy it. I know I'm not the like the super duper bestest of writers, but I really like it. If you do want to check it out, I will put a link somewhere, wherever. So generally, I put this up on YouTube, so it's kind of like, hopefully some people will check it out. Like I don't expect people to watch it on YouTube, but there are links to go to other things as well as the recording the download link. But yeah, so like I'm just a bit tired from that sort of thing. I seriously had sat around, which of course isn't the greatest thing to be doing for your health, but yesterday I was had my butt squarely planted in my squeaky chair. There we go, squeaks. But and I was just on a writing fury just this last few days. Thankfully, I mean, what I seem to be getting into a habit of is about a chapter a month, which I mean, it's kind of difficult because I'm writing by hand. Well, not kind of difficult, but I'm writing by hand and then I type it out to edit it. So it feels like I'm writing more than what I actually am. But it's a good process for me because if I write by hand, I'll at least get I'll be like, okay, I'm not going too quick that my brain won't function because something about typing, I can't type and write. It's something new. If it's something that I've already got and I'm just building off of that, okay, that's a lot easier. But starting from scratch, I have a very difficult time doing it. Now seeing that, I wish I had understood that when I had first went into good old university and having to write all that crap, because I remember having the damnedest time doing that too. Something else been going on with myself. I've been reading Xenophon's Anabasis, or Ascension. It's the Persian expedition. I actually haven't gotten to it yet. I'm still in the introduction. The introduction's like some 50 odd pages, and it's kind of poking holes into Xenophon's story a bit, which is kind of interesting, but it's also like, I don't know too horribly much about that as this dog next door barks ferociously. But I don't know too horribly much about it, other than here's a group of 10,000 mercenaries and they're trekking through Persia. I mean, I got a little bit from what's his name, Daniele Bolelli. He started up a new history podcast himself, and he's on like Joe Rogan, and he's good friends with Rogan and Dan Carlin and that sort of stuff. And he has been doing. First, he did like the slave revolts, and then he did this whole thing about that dog does not want to stop barking. Goodness. But he did the slave revolts. He did one on Etsy, the Iceman. And then he did a two-parter on Xenophon, and not just Xenophon, but just the excursion and the players involved all around. Which, I mean, it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. He's going to have one out here sometimes very, very soon, so I was excited. Yes. But I love history podcasts. If anybody is interested in it, check out Daniele Bolelli's History on Fire, or Dan Carlin's Hardcore History. Even Dan Carlin's other podcast, what is it called? Common Sense. It's a political one. I find that one really, really enjoyable as well, because he is a bit more... Truthfully, he's a bit more into the line of thinking that I am. So it's nice to know that I am not some sort of psycho who just has these bizarro thoughts. I am not alone, sort of thing. But yeah, they're really good stuff. Good, wholesome, delicious, tasty, digest. I mean, like the Bolelli stuff, his history podcast that he just started up. While there's only a few episodes, they're a bit more digestible. Carlin's stuff has gotten to the point where it's with hardcore history that it's like here's 4 hours, have fun. And it's like an audiobook. It's like a miniature audiobook with each podcast, and it's even though it takes him 3 to 4 months to get a new episode out, they are fantastic. So, and right now he's starting up a series called King of Kings or Kings of Kings, and he first talked about Kurosh or Cyrus the Great, and build up to laying down the foundation for Persia to kind of come into existence to be the powerhouse that it was. And then the first episode ends with Cyrus's alleged end by Herodotus, the grandfather of history, or grandfather of lies, depending on who you ask. But yeah, some great stuff. So, and he's going to continue that on with probably Philip of Macedonia. And that dog continues to bark. What is going on out there? Nature is with us. Yeah. But that aside, reading the Persian expedition and stuff, I have been in a bit of a rut with things in general. I don't know. There's just in the last week or so, maybe it's male PMS or something like that. I have no idea. But I, as of late, have been getting really, really agitated at just anything. Like, this dog barking doesn't quite bother me, and I apologize. But just things in general where it's just like, and just, like that kind of feeling. I just don't... I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm just not eating well, and my body's like, hey, dude, start to eat some better stuff. Or maybe it's just like, hey, dude, get some exercise. Or it's like, hey, dude, get some better rest. Hey, dude, find a better place to go or something. I don't know. Crazy talk. But that's I guess things on my end this week. So yeah, I'm gonna fit it with a bumper here with that's in a pretty appropriate song. It's called "Angry," and it is by it goes by like his website was called like Human Barbecue, and the basic translation for his name comes out to like cutting your own throat. So yeah, so yeah. Enjoy the song, and I'll catch you afterwards. Okay, but whew, hope you enjoyed that. That was I said the song's name is Angry, or just file comes off as angry, but it's one of those things. Like a lot of the doujinshi music that I like to listen to first started from SSH, and SSH his music was on Step Mania, and for those who don't know what Step Mania was the DDR computer game would be the best way to put it, where you could have hooked up a pad through USB or something like that, you could just use the arrow keys to mimic it, so you could make some really crazy step files for it and stuff, and have fun doing it that way. And that's how I got introduced to that kind of music. Well, at first as SSH, and then finding his website, and then just exploring all sorts of things. Because the dude had, when on Step Mania, he had let's see, he had like things like Zaramis's theme, Castlevania theme, a bunch of different themes. That's how I got into Thunder Force. Like I had played Thunder Force 5 on the, was it 5? I think it was 5. Thunder Force 5 for the, was it 5? I think it was 5 for the PlayStation 1, and I sucked at the game. I was like, this is a pretty cool game, but I fucking suck at this. But SSH also has a lot of remixes of music from earlier Thunder Force games, and for example, Thunder Force 4 is that soundtrack, just even in the original Genesis sound chip, is phenomenal. Stand Up Against Myself, Metal Squad. I mean, Stand Up Against Myself is a fucking credit theme or credit roll. It's a credit roll, and it's like just super awesome. Yeah. Okay, but enough about that. Great song. Even though it's not by SSH, but he had led me to Human Barbecue. But yeah, so the topic for today is about stretching a story. This can be for games, movies, books, comics. Personally, myself, I don't really watch TV, but TV shows. We've seen this a lot recently with things like, let's have a second part to the Harry Potter movies. Let's have a third movie to the Hobbit movie. Let's have a second part to the Twilight thing. It's bullshit is what it is. I detest this sort of thing. It's like, how do you go and, well, we're just going to have one movie per book, for example, with Harry Potter. One movie per book up until the last one, and then we gotta squeeze that little bit of money out of you. You gotta take it. I've read the Harry Potter series. I didn't mind it as a kid. It wasn't bad. It was okay. It was enjoyable until I want to say about book 5. Like book 4 is probably my favorite, but like 6 was okay, 5 was okay, but I hate book 7. Book 7 was probably. Yeah, I was not a big fan of that, but just this whole idea, like sequels aside, I mean, why is it necessary, other than just financial reasons, to think that this is a good idea to, let's jump and go and jump around and make stories lengthier by doing this. So you see this thing with TV series, particularly with like for example with anime, you see a lot of this with like Conan the Detective. How have they not like had the whole population of Japan murdered by now in that series is kind of beyond me. But that or One Piece or Naruto, or you have the whole filler thing. I understand. Well, you got to do something to keep it going because they've caught up to the manga and all that sort of thing. But it's like, why don't you just take a damn break? I mean, that's what gets to me, is that you've got to feel this need to, well, we've got a story people like. Because I'm not going to say it's a good one, because a lot of times they're not very good because they stretch things out. Look at something like Cowboy Bebop. Cowboy Bebop initially only aired for like 12, 13 episodes, and then it had this interesting mishmash episode air in Japan only that was basically like, here's all of the different characters' philosophical opinions and approaches to life and all that sort of thing. And then it came back the next year and finally aired all their episodes. I think they may not have aired a couple episodes with concerns of violence, but I could be misspeaking. I know initially they did. Initially they were all over the place. But Cowboy Bebop is 26 episodes and a movie. The movie's pretty good, surprisingly, because you didn't need the damn movie. That was the thing. The series is cut in such a way that you don't really need that. As much as we love those characters, or at least I do, as much as I love those characters and the setting, the aesthetics, the depth of character, and just the depth of everything, the music, whether or not it's a lot of borrowed stuff, or you have those accusations thrown by different peoples on the YouTubes and stuff like that. I'm not here to get into that, but it was succinct. A word we don't seem to ever think about when it comes to this sort of thing. Look at fucking TV, Dexter. I think Dexter's a very good example of this sort of thing, where it's like, here's a show that should have ended after season 4 or 3 or whatever. I never watched it, but then it went on for 4 more seasons. And it's just, you worry about jumping the shark, or even if you don't jump the shark with ridiculousness, you're still bleeding something dry, and this sort of thing bugs me, and it comes up in games. And the reason why I bring this up now is on Twitter, on Facebook, and even on Skype, I've been a bit of more of a social butterfly and talking to some people about a series I really, really love, and that is the Trails in the yada yada yada, Trails in the Sky, or Trails of Cold Steel, the Sora no Kiseki, Sen no Kiseki, Zero Ao no Kiseki, Nayuta no Kiseki, the Kiseki series, or the AU Densetsu. Would say the AU Densetsu series, but I believe since Sen no Kiseki they've dropped that moniker or subtitle, whatever the hell. They dropped that phrasing, and now they're just going with like Kiseki, and it's I loved the first trilogy, and I'm very happy. Like, they just recently announced that the third is going to be localized. So if people enjoyed FC first chapter or SC second chapter, I'm hoping that they'll enjoy the third chapter, or the third. It has a different nuance to its title because it's a very different paced game. It's a weird one. It's like, here's a lot of side information to fill in the gaps that we couldn't quite cover in the first 2 games. Pretty cool. And it's got phenomenal music, and it's, the final dungeon is sweet. You have 16 characters by the end of the game, and the final dungeon you have to break them up into 4 separate teams and go full throttle, and then have a bunch of bosses separately and final boss separately. Pretty sweet, awesome stuff. Totally me gusta kind of thing there. But they had this trilogy, and by the end of the trilogy, there's still plenty of stuff that is unresolved. Plenty of stuff. And then you get into what they have are 2 games called Zero and Ao no Kiseki, like Trails to Zero. I don't know how, the Zero Trail of the Zero. But that, and also like Trails of Azure kind of thing. But it's like those 2 are probably my favorites. 1-2 punch. It's concise. It's about this principality north of where the trilogy took place, the first trilogy took place, dealing with their troubles and all that lovely hunky-dory stuff. I don't want to tell too much because I have hopes and desires that somehow they will find a way to bring those games out and translate them, whether it's the Evolution versions or not. I don't care, because those 2 are my favorite. Maybe not like the updated or the Evolution version soundtracks are some of them really good, some of them but just yes. But so you're looking at 5 games, and you've covered a couple areas, and then we get into Nayuta no Kiseki, which probably will never. I mean, there's a fan translation for it, which I'm really happy to see because that's a fun game, and that the music for it's really really nice. It's not as extensive, but it's they kind of refer to it as like a story action RPG or like a story platformer kind of thing. It's interesting because the music also reflects that, where it's got a lot of I don't want to say nods, but a lot of inspiration with the Kiseki melodies. But then it also has kind of these East melodies in it as well. Same company, but I like that a lot. But so you had those games, and that in itself was kind of like a weirdo. Like it dropped the AU Densetsu bit, the Legend of Heroes bit. It dropped that, and it was just referred to as Nayuta no Kiseki. Why? I think it's alluding to this, and it's also, while outside of a character family name, there really isn't much connection. I still think and hope and pray that, and I've been saying this for years. Greg can, RPG Swagman can back me up on my lunacy on this, but I really feel that there is some sort of connection between it and the rest of the series that just hasn't been detailed yet, I guess, or they haven't written it or whatnot. Like they say, they claim that the whole dealings of the story, which they're currently at 7 games, not including Nayuta. If you do include Nayuta, 8. I want to say it's about 14 games altogether. So you're looking at like still only like halfway there. Maybe it's 13. Don't care. Too damn many. I mean, this is the problem now that I finally set all this up, is that with Trails of Cold Steel, like, apart from the setting, like, yeah, it's taking place in the Erebonian Empire and stuff, and that's really cool. There's political strife. Okay, yeah. Like, that stuff's fine. I'm not a big fan of the school setting, and that's kind of the big thing about it, is it's an academy. It's like a military academy. And it's really just not my thing. It's just not my thing. And the characters don't feel as unique to themselves. They feel a bit more trope heavy, which you kind of can get that. Well, not kind of. You can definitely see that with Zeto and Aono Kiseki as well, but it's not as, I guess, tried as it is with the school setting sort of thing. I guess I don't know. I really didn't find a lot of the characters interesting. That's just my opinion. That's my subjective view on it. But like that, and like, this is what got me to think about the stretching a story thing. There's 2 games out so far, and there's supposed to be a Sen no Kiseki 3 or Trails of Cold Steel 3, from what I've heard. And there should be, because of how the second one ends. It doesn't end in a way that really wraps things up properly or appropriately. We're still dealing with a problem that has manifested itself in more detail from the second game, or Trails in the Sky SC, even FC. Like I guess you should say FC just because of the events going on. It doesn't really pertain to Estelle and Joshua, but it does. It's there, out of their vision. But so you've got stuff that's manifesting from this first game. 7 games later, we're still not even resolved, and that's a lot of time. That's just playing them themselves. Like, I'm kind of bad about games because I'll be playing and then I'll set it to the side and start doing something else, like cleaning or cooking something or going to the bathroom. But like, you're looking at not including Nayuta, just those 7 games. What, 600 to 700 hours, and there is stuff still not resolved, which bugs me to no end. And as much as I like the series, it gets to a point where it starts to become a bit of a burden. You see this with Nihon Falcom's other series, the East series, where they seem to have trouble finishing things. They have some really fantastic games and everything, and I've talked with Greg about this, and he definitely thinks as well, that there's times where they just seem to drop the ball when it comes to endings because they don't want to end things. Adult Christian, he's, there's stories about him and his adventures and stuff, and he's got all these things that he writes down and stuff when he's older, but it's like, here's a whole bunch of his stories, and, well, we've got them, but we're going to put another adventure in between these two other ones, even though, to hell with making him any older. We're just going to have a whole bunch of adventures, and he's going to have all these adventures when he's in his early to mid to 20s, and then just nothing. He's just going to roam for 40 years. Oh, not quite 40 years, but he's going to roam for a while. It's just, he's just like, get to a point where be done with it. That's the one thing that gets to me, is that we got to keep on building on these things instead of making new things. That's what that's why I'm not really into comics or anything like that. I mean, I understand they do reset things and tell different stories that way, but it's then you get into this whole multiverse and all that kind of thing, and you're just like, it's tiresome is what it is. I get physically tired wrapping my head around it, and it's just, for someone like me, I outside of hearing some people talk about comics, I have no desire to read any of them, because it's just it's inundated with all this kind of stuff. And same thing with games. You're inundated with a whole bunch of games. This is why I really don't listen to a lot of reviews on games. Impressions are one thing, but like memory, I kind of like the memory thing a bit more, because it's just kind of talking about games that they enjoyed and what about them and stuff, and like that's fine, because it's a little bit more personal and stuff like that. But there's just so much out there, and it's not like but there, and this is the thing too, there's so much out there, and a lot of it is garbage. I mean, like I said, I'm writing a story, and not very many people, A, give a damn about it, B, probably thinks it's any good. That's fine. I mean, there's definitely stuff in there that I'm reading through, and I'm like, no, but when you have things like Sharknado and all this other stupid shit out there, it like, you get these kind of stories, and then you're getting like a third one of that, but never anything new, and in the sense of, I don't want to say new, because that's new, but it's really dumb. It's so painfully dumb, and yeah, I guess it's serving as like a sci-fi comedy, but I just. But stretching a story, and it just, I don't see the benefits of it when you're getting to a point where it's going to take you weeks to get through it. Is it really that good? Because to me, it just kind of blurs shit together. I mean, I enjoy, for example, the longest running thing that I can think of, or like show or anything that I can think of that I enjoyed, is Frasier. And probably no surprise to people to be hearing that from me. But I liked that show. I thought it was funny. But in the same hand, I know I couldn't sit there and I could sit there and watch like a couple episodes here and there, but I could never like binge watch it or anything like that. That's just not who I am. I can't. Outside of writing and music, I can't do that one thing. Like writing music or listening to music. I can't do that one thing for just all day. It'll drive me mad. Like, I would go bonkers from that sort of thing. Even if it was a show like Frasier. I think I could do that with Cowboy Bebop, but it ends in 26 episodes. Like, with Frasier, it's like, here's 10 to 13. I don't think it's 13. I think it's 10 seasons. But here's 10 seasons of all sorts of silly, repeated shenanigans that Frasier goes through. I don't know. Like you see the same problem with, for example, Castlevania. Castlevania, I love the NES games. Those are really the main ones that I've played. I have played Portrait of Ruin, but that was such a like oddball of one to play. It was just kind of like, oh, here, play this one. Okay, that's all right. Like I just like the older ones better because, or more. They appeal to me more. But for example, you had those games. You got a bunch of other ones. You got Symphony of the Night. You got Portrait of Ruin, and you go all through the story stuff, and then you've got the one fucking game that everybody would have loved to have played, and it's the Battle of '99, stomping Dracula's tailpipe for the last time, and they never get around to it for one reason or another. This like that. I understand having gaps to intrigue audiences, players, whatever, that sort of thing. I can understand that. That I would prefer to have gaps, and instead of being told everything about everything, because then you're just throwing out information. It's like, I don't care. I really don't. There's just a point. There's a threshold, and I hit that threshold a bit early at times. I mean, for other people, it's something great for them because they can sink their teeth into more stuff. But you had the battle in 1999, had the battle, but you never, got to experience it. You just the battle of 1999. Dracula's last time, last hurrah, and all the crazy stuff that goes with it. And it's like, this is... That to me is why... Like I wish if you have a game, you make it more concise. Like, I just finished Shovel Knight, and how it ends, you could make a sequel if you so desired. And I don't know if they're making a sequel. They could be making a sequel right now, and I just don't know about it. But it's not even really necessary. It was a phenomenal game. I really enjoyed it. I kind of wish I had a controller to play it with, but... I mean, even still, I played it with the keyboard, and I still was able to get through it and beat it. But, do we need a sequel to that game? That's my silence. I could see it from the way that the story is put, or how it finishes up. But it's like, do you really need a sequel to it? I mean, if they want to, go ahead, Yacht Games. Go be my guests. I hope it was Yacht Games. I hope that's what they're called. But I mean, like I said, Shovel Knight was a fun game. But is it really necessary to make a Shovel Knight 2? Do we have to go down this path? And I understand it may be necessary for them because of how things are. But this is what I find to be the problem: is that we just, instead of trying to make new things and look at new concepts and ideas, we rehash old ideas, and we may trickle in new concepts here and there, but we fall away from what the original intentions of those sorts of things were, to build up our own ideas and then completely disregard the past ones. And that sort of thing gets to me a bit. For example, as much as I like it, that sort of thing, in the context of looking back to see what was inspired by it, it's just, to me, it's very lazy to just use those sorts of things to, for example, with Final Fantasy or Marvel, they use Norse. And and you have some Mesopotamian characters in there as well, Final Fantasy stuff. But you use these ancient mythologies, and maybe not ancient from Norse, but you use these mythologies and these myths for their own thing. And Gilgamesh from Final Fantasy V, where he's just this goof ass. Whatever, I hate 5, but you have, or like Shiva or Thor, and you're just using them to put them in, and then you just kind of make your own thing about it, and then you're if you want to talk about completely just disregarding like a cultural idea about that sort of thing, that would be it right there. When you're just kind of like, oh, we're gonna just borrow this and kind of make our own little spin to it and stuff. And I mean, I don't have a problem with making your own little spin of it, but it's just like, could you just make something new? And I understand, well, if it's new, maybe people won't care for it. Probably not, but you don't see me running around writing stories about a 8-inch pink puffball named Kirby and his adventures. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I know it's not quite the same for like stretching a story, but in the same way, it does kind of feel like it because you're using the same. You're like fanficking the fucking mythologies. How just ludicrous is that to think about? Think about that for a moment. People want to just blast fan fiction all over, like, from pillar to post, and have no problem with it. But bigger companies use them for their little play pieces, and people are like, man, that's so awesome. Or then they get all into a tizzy because Thor's a woman and all this kind of stuff, and it's just like, yeah. That is my rant. I am tired. Let's play some of that sweet old music, and yeah. And that happier song there was Don't Goody by Celia. Celia. There we go. Whew. I have obviously talked too much, tongue-tied. But I have one last little section to go with here. And yeah, we're going to rock the dragon with it. And that is the quote section. And I'd referenced them earlier in the episode, and that is Herodotus. So we're going to go with him. Because I said so. Because that's what I'm here for. The quote that I want to talk about a bit is if a man insisted always on being serious and never allowed himself a bit of fun and relaxation, he would go mad or become unstable without knowing it. And that sounds just like me. I've gone into the loony bin. I've gone loop-de-loop, and here I sit, crazy, all sorts of crazy. And it's kind of, it makes me think of the Homer Simpson, all what is that? All no beer, no TV, make Homer something. I'm very bad with thinking of quotes for The Simpsons. I have not watched The Simpsons since I was in elementary school. Yeah, it's been a long time. It always have a special place in my heart, but it was really nice. I take it back. I did watch some of those, the giant marathon that FXX had a while ago, where it was like, we're going to show every episode in the series. And now I think they do like a bunch of episodes certain days a week or something like that. Still, maybe. I mean, I know that really helped them from a financial standpoint doing that, but I don't know if they're still doing it. The quote, anyways, all work and no fun makes you go cray-cray. And that is the God's honest truth. Like, I am a bit of a stickler, and I do, as much as it may not seem like it, I do press myself to do things all the time. Like, oh, I've got to be writing. Oh, I've got to be, reading. Oh, I've got to be doing this or that. And I have to, type out these emails. I have to get this work done. I have to do this. And I have to do this. I got to clean. And I really have a hard time getting into a place where I can have fun habitually, but not at the point where it's like insatiable. Where, well, for example, like, and I do this with food too, which isn't the greatest thing, I guess, but I will go for long stretches of time where I won't eat sweets or anything of the sort, but then there'll be like a month, 2 weeks, weekend or whatever, where I'll just binge the hell out of stuff and be like, gorge. And it's the same thing with when I do things that are fun to me, like playing games. Like, I will sit there and just play games for stupid amounts of time, and then just neglect work, and then it builds back up, and then I go, oh god, I gotta get work done, sort of thing. And it's good to know that even way back when, in Herodotus' time, and this is Herodotus of Halicarnassus, so you're looking at like he was 400s, but he was like born in like the 484 or something like that. But then he didn't make it through the whole century, but he lived quite a while. I want to say he passed in 425. Sounds right. I hope I'm right. Could be wrong, but he was at least, I want to say, 60s. Maybe not even 60. Maybe he was like 59. Close to 60. He was close to 60, I will say that. But even back then, couple thousand years ago, it's still like, yeah, all work and no play. make you cray cray. So that's what we're at now. That is the level of language we have now. And yeah, so that is that. I actually had not thought of a song, which now I feel like I've been embarrassed that I've been caught with my pants down. So I'm clicking. Let us go with okay. I have a good one here. I'm gonna see you off here with All Night Long by SSH. And while SSH is music, as I said before, I was introduced to those different themes. Those different themes were more rockin' and not. Some of them were for trying to melt your face off. Some of them weren't, but they were all about your metal and whatnot. And this one is not. This one's a good one to say off to. So thanks for listening. Have a good day. If you have any sort of comments you want to push my way, if you're watching this and you've seen it through YouTube or clicked it through YouTube to get to the download link, please leave a comment on YouTube or on the video, or pass me one, or even mention one to me on Twitter at Muragaru553. Muragaru 553. Yeah, that's it right now. Or even if you know me on Facebook, throw me a message there. Yeah, those are the days. But yeah, I would really appreciate any sort of comments. Tell me what I'm doing wrong. Tell me somehow if I'm doing anything right. And I'll read them on this here, and then it'll be a grand old time. Yeah. So thanks for listening. Have a good weekend. Enjoy your week until the next one. And this is Ramblin' Weekly with Taylor. That was really dumb. Have a good one, guys. I'll catch you next time.